I've certainly noticed a lot going on when it comes to AI and accounting. Are you seeing that too?
I believe that nowadays fewer people are actually picking up the phone and reaching out, mainly because of the fear of rejection and maybe they think this is outdated. But actually, the ROI of picking up the phone and calling, it's way higher than sending emails, for example.
So tell me about the solution that you rolled out that helped their business.
With my human eyes, I don't think AI should be involved with relationships, but it is.
Yes,
And
it
I
is.
see that more and more it will be in other areas that we might think that, okay, I'm not sure if that's good for us or not.
AI, is it hype or help? G'day and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Pete Cooper, and our topic is AI, hype or help. Today's guest is Marcos Lima and his company, Can AI Do It? He's based in Sydney, Australia, but he's actually from Brazil, and he started a business helping small businesses take advantage of AI and solve some of those really common problems that happen in all businesses. He's been successful as a solo entrepreneur, and we're welcoming him to the show. So let's get into it. Marcus, welcome. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
And very well. Thank you for having me here, Peter.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. So you're coming to us from Sydney, Australia, right?
Yes.
Yes. And what's the weather like down there?
For me, it's really cold. I think
Uh-huh.
at the moment we've got 5 degrees.
5 degrees Celsius. Trying to think what that
Yes.
would be in Fahrenheit for all of our US people here. I guess what we say down in the teens. No, it wouldn't be down in the teens, would we? We're above a 30, maybe about 40 Fahrenheit. Yeah, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Always getting it muddled up. I, like you, brought up with Celsius. Yeah, so we're in the summer up here. Even though, I've got a jacket on, I've got AC going. Anyway, that's the situation. Thanks for joining us. Tell me and the audience a little bit about what you do, what your business is.
Yeah, so I call myself an AI automation strategist, which is just a fancy term for someone who has been playing with AI a lot.
Hmm.
And now I go around and ask business if they have any tasks, especially the repetitive day-to-day tasks that they would like help with. And if they do, then I will evaluate the business and see how I can set up an automation to help them to solve the problem.
So when you say go around, it sounds like you're wandering the streets of Sydney. Do you actually do that?
To be sincere, to be honest, what I do the most is on LinkedIn, I usually connect with business owners. And there were cases, for example, my first client, it happened because on my birthday, I decided to reward myself with a massage, and I called the clinic, and the clinic didn't pick up the phone. So I called another clinic that picked up the phone. I booked the massage, and later on, I reached out to the first business owner in the other clinic
Hmm.
and told them, "You just lost a customer because you did not pick up the phone." And then, based on that, we got to a conversation about AI voice agents, and that was my first customer.
So you did the classic, which is to identify a problem that they really had that resonated with them, losing customers and clients, and then from there stepped into what you can do, which I really admire that. So, okay, so you did it, I guess, that was a face to face when you were down there getting a massage, right?
Yeah, that was a face-to-face. So the business who gave me the massage wasn't the one that I contacted. I contacted the other one who didn't pick up the phone because my
Ah.
my pitch was, "Hey, have a look. You just lost me as a customer because you did not pick up the phone. How
Hmm,
many calls a day do you lose? And this is how I can help you with that." So it
that's
was
cool.
actually nailed to the pain point that they were feeling.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So interestingly, it was the phone. The phone was still the technique that you used to book well, in that case, to book the call or the appointment to create the business was over the traditional phone. I mean, that's been going back to when I started my career back in the 70s and 80s. That was how we did it. We got the yellow pages out, found the business and called them, and there would be a reception person or salesperson right there that would answer my calls. That seems to almost be dying out, but it's interesting that you bring that straight back as your actual first customer and your first point. So is that common now? Is it people are still using the phone to book appointments and to engage?
I don't think so. To be honest, I just did it so confidently. Like I had so much confidence when I did it because it was something that happened and I knew like I have something to back it up. It's like it just happened.
Mm,
But if I needed to pick up the phone without having the story itself to
hmm.
tell, without the fact, it would have been way harder. So I
Yes.
believe that nowadays, if we do things like actually doing hard things, I would say it's the way to go because an average business owner might get many emails about people offering these services.
Mm, mm,
But
mm.
I believe that nowadays fewer people are actually picking up the phone and reaching out, mainly because of the fear of rejection, and maybe they think this is outdated. But actually, the ROI of picking up the phone and calling, it's way higher than sending emails, for example.
Yeah, that's really a really interesting observation. Even with all of the automation and how much of you're selling automation and AI and you and I both are, it's amazing that you actually closed that particular client through the phone. So tell me about the solution that you rolled out that helped their business.
So the solution is a simple AI agent that is capable of picking up the phone
Hmm.
and answering basic FAQ questions like how much is for a Thai massage, for example. And what the agent does is it have a look at the AI calendar of the business, and if
Hmm.
there is availability, it will book the person.
Mm. That's amazing.
So,
So I mean, this is one of the powers of, I mean, I think most people are very familiar with the idea of a chat, ChatGPT, Claude, those sorts of things where you're talking to, via text, but the less known, but I would say very powerful, if not more powerful, is the voice side of things has really come on in the last few years as well. And that's what you're talking about,
I
a voice
yeah.
solution. Yeah, that's
And
great.
if you have a look nowadays, we are even evolving from typing on our keyboards to just narrating what we want. So basically nowadays I would say that 50% of the time when I'm in front of my laptop and actually talking to the laptop as opposed to typing.
Hmm. That's amazing. So, yeah, and that's a business that has quite a high flow through, right? I mean, I guess any kind of health clinic, massage, those sorts of places where you're booking appointments, that's pretty important to have that. So, Marcus, back to you. How did you get into this? I mean, do you have a long history in data science, software development, or something completely different? Where do you come from?
Actually, I have no history with tech at all. I have a formal education in accounting, but when AI started becoming mainstream towards the end of December 2023, so ChatGPT was released in November 2022, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But the first couple of months, I kind of thought that everything was hype. And then I was also finishing my master's in accounting, so I didn't have too much time to pay attention to it. So as soon as I finished my master's in accounting, I decided to learn AI. But at the same time, I also wanted to have a YouTube channel because I would learn and I would teach, because
Mm-hmm.
apparently that's a great way of learning. It also took me at least 4 months, I would say, since the moment that I started the channel to the moment that I finally decide, okay, it's time for me to start allocating some time, just like I was doing with my AI course, with my accounting course. I decide to do the same with my AI learning. However, the real learning with automation came way later. I would say 7 months later, in July 2025. So a little bit more than a year now. And that happened because unfortunately my ex-partner, she was going through a very rough moment in her life.
Mm.
She was borderline
Mm-hmm.
depressed. Um, and I was thinking, okay, now that I'm learning AI automation, how can I help her? And I had this idea of putting together a database of around 50 books, like credible books that teach people how to deal with depression, how to get better. And then what I did was I put together this database of books, and every morning the automation would scan the books and then would pick up a simple exercise or quote, and then that would be sent to an email, and then the final email would be sent to her every morning. So I wanted her to wake up and have an email saying that, okay, you can fight back, you have power over your life, whatever the books were teaching
Yeah.
for you to get better. So that was actually my first real world automation.
That's a great idea. I love that. So every morning, your partner would get up and she would receive an email with some positive messaging, some self-help tools and tips, some ways that she could start the day on a positive uptick. Um, and I really love that. I mean, my wife and I do a fair bit of that work ourselves, refreshing, revitalizing ourselves, staying positive, because there's so many things that we could be worried about, so many things that could bring us down, whether it be in the past, some depression or some anxiety, and even around AI, there can be some.
Definitely.
So AI automation strategist. So we talked about AI, we talked about automation. What about the strategist part? How does that fit in?
So the strategist part is my ability to talk to a business owner or someone who is having a problem, and
Mm,
then
mm.
based on their problem, I can suggest a solution. So even if I don't have a solution, my job is to look for their problem and how I would be able to help them. Lately, because I've been doing so much of this, I have got to a point where most of the time, as soon as you start talking to someone, the first thing that you need to know is, okay, is this a repetitive thing? Have you been doing for a while? If the person says yes, then that's a good thing because they know exactly how the process should be. And then based on that, I can suggest different solutions.
Yep,
No, I don't know if that makes sense. So basically, is
yep,
my job as a strategist is basically just finding out like, okay, what is the problem and how I can help them. And I do the helping part by using the knowledge that I have already gained. And if I
yeah,
don't have it, my real job is also to look for and find the solution and try to implement it.
yeah. Okay, I think that makes total sense. And so what sort of problems are you seeing out there? What are some of the common problems that
That's
businesses are
actually
currently have?
That's actually very interesting because I think that we as human beings, we always believe that we are unique. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, every person is unique to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you deal with people, the more you realize that we are actually like we are in different groups. For example,
Mm-hmm.
most people have basic like problems like, okay, I would like to be able to reply my customers faster, for example. I cannot reply them fast enough through email, or sometimes I miss an email. So a very simple AI agent that is capable of answering basic questions is the solution for that business owner, for example. And the questions that the agent cannot answer or is not allowed to answer can be routed to the person, to the human being. Um,
Mm,
like
mm,
the
mm.
example that I gave you with the massage business, that example applies to any business that has to deal with customer. So any business that have to pick up the phone and answer calls and do bookings will always need an AI voice agent. So you start realizing that, okay, we are actually not that unique. Our problems are very much the same.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, funnily enough, you talk about a massage. I go and get one once a month, and really nice office facility they have. And I walk in there every day, and there's three or four uh, people on reception desk in front of their computers, welcoming me in, scheduling me in, taking phone calls, doing the billing. That isn't really a problem, but it is a cost. Um,
Mhm.
Having so many people to do that task, perhaps the problem is just that the costs are too high to have to have so many staff, and that perhaps they can reduce their costs somehow. This is some of the experiences that we've had is reducing the costs of running businesses using various tools, including automations. Have you come across that side of things?
Yes, and for example, in your case, probably you are talking about a clinic that has the luxury of having three receptionists.
Mm.
But someone who is new, is just starting the clinic, for example, they might not have the luxury of hiring like that many receptionists. So there are cases, for example, where the person who is like in this case, a massage, for example, is doing a massage on you, sometimes needs to stop the massage to pick up the phone.
Mm.
So an AI voice agent can make everything so much more efficient because not only the person won't need to stop the massage, the person can literally forget about the phone and focus on the client. So
Yes.
more efficient, the experience is way better, and the cost is way less.
So I guess the other alternative, which is very much emerging now, is the chat bot built onto a website where you have that question and answer happening in a typing setting. Right? Where someone like me uses a computer a lot of the time. I don't necessarily want to be on the phone. I don't want to be making phone calls. I could just bang it into to the chat. Are you finding that as also an emerging solution?
That definitely is an emerging solution. It applies to, I would say, it applies to a different kind of business. If your business mainly rely on the phone to make income, then the AI voice agent would be the ideal. Of course, if you have a website as well, I would say, like, because I work with this, sometimes I try to over engineering things, which is a problem of perfectionist people. But I would say if you have a website, chat bot in there, especially if it's a website where you need to give out information such as prices and things like that, having a well-trained chatbot in there that can answer those questions fast is actually a good addition,
Yeah. So you could see a place for both, is what I'm
definitely.
hearing. Yeah. Okay. And I think one of the things I love about the solution that you have, it meets the customer where they want to be. That's the way I explain it. The customer has their idea of what it is they want, and they want to say that, and then they want to have a response to that. The way software was built, and 20 years ago, it was, oh no, you have to follow our process. What's your name? What's your address? I don't want to do all that. I want to get my question answered. Do you do massages on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock? Yes, we do. Thank you. Now I'll give you all the details. So I really think this is helping the customer as well as the business. So it's really good, really good. So we had one of these questions here. I have to read it out actually. You've got AI systems that automate everything from content creation to business workflows. That's a big claim, but tell us, some of the things that were part of that. The
All right.
when you automate everything.
So actually, this is a project that I have built for myself
Mm-hmm.
because I do a couple of things on the side. So I have a YouTube channel. My idea was mainly, okay, I want to have a system where I take my YouTube videos and I will repurpose them into different contents. But I want it to sound like me and I want it to be useful. I
Mm-hmm.
won't just transcribe the video and dump it online. So the goal was, okay, how can I take my video and create a blog post out of it? And in my case, currently, I run two newsletters. One is my personal newsletter, and another one is a newsletter that every morning, whoever is signed up for it will receive an email with the main AI news. But the difference is every email has what the news means for you, what it means for your business, and a takeaway that you can implement.
Very
So
nice.
we are talking about four systems here. Is it needs to transcribe the video, it needs to create the blog post. Like in my case, the personal newsletter, that's the one that I am more involved in because it's personal, it's my one. But the daily one is fully automated. So
Mm.
going back to your question, was the question how I did it? Just to.
Yeah, I mean, you've answered it quite well. There was four elements in the automate everything um, statement there, and one of the things I just want to clarify: when you send out the newsletter, you
Mhm,
know something about the people at the other end.
mhm,
Let's say it's a plumbing business, right? The guy's a plumber or whatever. You know what a plumber is? People that do taps and sinks and pipes and water
mhm.
and stuff. They um they have a business, they have an online presence. You are getting the agent to go and look at their business and match that to the bit of news that you've got and make it specific to them.
No, so in this case, like if we are talking about because like I said, I have two newsletters. So my personal newsletter is just sent weekly. And in that one, I just share what I've learned. Like, for example, last week I've learned that there is this new Chinese AI model that is like 5 times cheaper than the latest Western model, for example.
Hmm.
So I'm sharing with the subscribers what I'm learning, and those who read it, like maybe someone on the other end will think, we are spending too much money with this model. Maybe we can try this another Chinese model that Marcos is recommending. So this is the personal one, and the one that is sent on a daily basis. That one is just so this one is a system that I created
Hmm.
where every day at midnight it will scrape the web and find out everything that was relevant on that day. Then it will take those news, it will write it. I created a mascot for this newsletter. The
Hmm.
name of the mascot is Quill. It's an owl.
Oh, nice. Yes. Very
So
wise.
an image of Quill will be created. The final email will be put together. And then all that I need to do is just read it, which takes me like 10 minutes. And it's also really good because I also get informed. And then I
Yes.
click send. So at no point I will tailor those newsletters to the people on the other end. The people that comes to me, it's already filtered because you only give me your email if you want to receive AI news, for example.
And how did you get those original subscribers?
So actually the daily news is very new. I just finished the project like 10 days ago.
Hmm.
I barely have like 20 subs at the moment because I also need to do marketing as well.
Yep. Yep.
But the idea came out because I was part of another, not sure if I can say the name, but there is an American newsletter service called
Hmm.
Too Long Didn't Read.
Oh, yes, I get that too. It's in
Yeah,
the
so You are
Yes.
going to see that at the end of every email,
Mm,
usually they advertise a job position. So
mm,
they say, if you want to apply for a job position, just click on this link. You can even create your own job with that, which is something very interesting. And one day when I was reading the email, I saw that, which was like a month ago, and I realized, okay, rather than applying for this one, I actually can create something that I believe to be better because my one is going to tell you how that matters to you, to your business, and what you can do with that info, as
mm,
opposed to
mm.
just giving you the info.
That's great. That's great. It was interesting that we're both getting the same newsletter. Yeah, I haven't been getting it long myself, but I found it's pretty good. It's probably doing something similar, scraping the web, bringing in all the latest news. So I think what you were saying then was you take the news and you make it relevant to your particular audience. So if it's a
Exactly.
cheaper model, like you said, with the China versus the US one, then these would be the steps to take advantage of that. Sign up to that, do this, do that. So
Exactly.
the tips and tricks which come out of the news is where you do that value add. So that makes sense. That's great. Yeah. All right. So what else? I mean, so I was wondering if your accounting side of things started to creep in because I've certainly noticed a lot going on when it comes to AI and accounting. Are you seeing that too?
Yeah, I'm seeing. It's actually very hard not to see when you have like eyes that have gone through an accounting process. And I also used to work in finance back in Brazil.
Mm, mm,
And something that is not related to our topic here, but I think is very nice to put out there, is the fact that these cheap prices that we see nowadays, um, they won't be around forever.
mm,
So what I see with my accounting eyes is that things won't be able to be kept as they are because it's eventually it will become unsustainable. We see like companies like OpenAI spending more and more of money that they do not have. You see investors keep pumping money, but one day the bill will need to be paid by someone, and this someone is usually us, the customers. So I always tell myself, and every now and then I post on LinkedIn, be ready for the day that you are going to pay the real bill. So
mm,
nowadays I
mm,
run everything that I have for $40 per month, which is
mm,
a subscription to Cloud and a subscription to ChatGPT.
mm,
That won't be the case forever. Maybe it will still be cheaper. I think it will still be cheaper than hiring humans, but it won't be $40 forever.
mm.
That's just a simple example that my accounting eyes sometimes focus.
Well, I'll test you with a theory that I've had for a while. I don't think it's going to get more expensive in terms of the cash that you pay, but it's going to
Mhm,
be more expensive in other ways. So I was around before social media came in, and Facebook and MySpace before that. They had their service for free, and it's still for free. But what they bolted into that was all the advertising because they had access to so many people, right? Billions of people are on
mhm,
Facebook now. They built this whole advertising platform that became the massive revenue generator that it was. I think we're going to see exactly the same thing with chat. I'm witnessing. I believe it's true. I think there's even stats on it that people are moving out of the browser, typical browsing search. Even though we've got Gemini doing the AI stuff, and into the chat world where they're asking questions and then following those links. So if people are switching to that media and then following those recommendations, then naturally advertising is going to work its way in. That's going to then pay for it, which means you're not necessarily getting the raw and the best service. You're getting the service that's paid for, just the same way it
mhm.
works on social media. You don't necessarily get the best company for you. You get the one that's sponsored the best, promoted the best into your space. So you're going to pay for it that way, and maybe paid for it through other distractions, things that are taking you away from really getting the best out of the AI. Um, I don't believe people will pay more. I don't think the business model is to support it. But I do
Mhm.
think we're going to pay for it in other ways.
Yeah, there is always a way to pay for it, huh?
That's right. Someone's going to pay for it. I mean, I don't know how many people are on ChatGPT at the moment. There's a huge number of people are using it so much. There's a heck of a lot of white space in there. When I look at it, I think of all that white space. Now, when even before Facebook, the web, there was these things called web portals, which had loads and loads of different things. They were just throwing you ads all the time in every pocket on the page to try and, get your attention. And then Google came along and said, well, we're having all this white space again. And then they clouded it all back up again with sponsored ads. You have to go down 10 deep before you get to a non-sponsored ad. So I think we're going to see the same sort of thing again. And I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that it's very much underpriced. We're not paying for it. Investments paying for it. They're paying for the growth. They're trying to get excitement around it. They're all competing like crazy. And I agree with you. Jump in and use it because now is the time to be using it. Now is the time when it's fresh, it's new. There's opportunities like what you're talking about, but it's also it's raw and it's unfiltered and undistracted by all the sponsors, the ads, the feel, whatever's coming down the pipe. Mm,
Exactly.
yeah. So where do you think AI is going, Marcus? Where
I
else is
think
this
it's
world
going
taking us?
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it will be mostly everywhere. I actually, very few fields won't be seeing AI in it. But I think as we evolve, it will become more and more essential. And that's actually something that I see with my own personality as well,
Mm,
because I'm someone very curious and I do many different things. But what I realize is I am, to a certain extent, becoming more dependent on AI, in the sense that, okay, nowadays, if I had no AI, I probably would lose my powers to run all these newsletters that I told you.
yes.
As a human being, I wouldn't have enough time to do that. Uh, so I think it will go eventually to basically every area of our lives. It will be more and more integrated in medicine. It will be more and more integrated in fields that we may not even think that AI
Mm,
should be there, you know.
yes, yes. But it's going to
A
be there
good,
anyway.
yeah, a good example is those, I don't know how we should call it, let's say artificial relationships.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's something that is booming because there is actually a massive group of people that actually feel comfortable talking to AI about the emotions and things like that. But the question is, and this is like, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. The real question is, should we be open up to GPU? It's like it's not a person, it's not
Mm,
someone who has
mm.
emotions. But for us, like the, as I see it with my human eyes, I don't think AI should be involved with relationships, but it is.
Yes,
And
it
I
is.
see that more
Mm.
and more it will be in other areas that we might think that, okay, not sure if that's good for us or not.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, a good question. I can see both sides. I've heard people say it's soothing. It's some even a kid who's using it saying it listens to me, like it really
Yeah.
listens to me, and I think that is very comforting to know that something listened to you. um, and it feels like a human. It's something very fundamentally human. We strive for this connection because we're tribal. Fundamentally, we're tribal. We feel secure. We feel security when we have connection and we feel bonded by the group. We feel safe. And our psychology has never really separated from that tribal need. And unfortunately, modern society can be very isolating. I mean, some people live on their own, they're working from home, they're on the computer, they're not really getting anybody to hear them. And I think it's providing some good, right? But then again, of course, it can be also giving you really bad advice. Just because you
That-
want it to go that way, you can prompt it into some really bad actions. And there's certainly, cases of people doing things illegally because ChatGPT or whoever it was said it was okay, right? So there aren't
there
really
have
any guardrails on that at the moment. It's pretty much Wild West. We're getting it pretty
exactly.
raw. Yeah.
And what I question myself is the fact that is giving us that temporarily relief, let's call it.
Mm, mm.
Um, it might be seen as something good on the short term, but in the long term, does that mean that because we are getting that temporary relief, we are not going to go out and try to create real human
That's a very good
connections?
point. Yes, very good point.
So the long-term side effects, it's what I think it's is actually worse than the short-term benefits.
Yeah, that's very interesting. As you say, you don't put, unless you're given some pressure to go and create those long term, you won't, so you'll just again stay in your computer world with your chatbots. All right, so Marcus, you would be a solopreneur, right? Would you say you're a solopreneur?
Yes, and mainly a solopreneur,
Yeah,
like
and so
95% of the time.
an emerging thing. We get a lot of solopreneurs on this podcast. And they don't seem to see the need to have a big team working for them. Most of the stuff is being done through AI and their own intuition, as it is for you. Do you see that changing, or do you think you're going to need to grow?
I think that eventually I hope and I'm working towards eventually reaching a point where I can look around and see that I really can't do it alone anymore, not even with the agents and the systems that I set up.
Mm,
And
mm,
eventually, like it means that okay, hiring people one or other when it's necessary, it's also a way of how can I say this? Like giving something back, because to a certain extent, when you're hiring someone, you're actually helping that person as well.
mm, mm,
So the goal is to reach a point where I can look around and realize that okay, my agents are great, they really help me, but I actually need more people. I think that's a sign of growth.
yeah, yeah. Well, do you have any advice for other people who want to be entrepreneurs or solopreneurs thinking about AI?
I would say that my advice is, in my case, I actually call myself a solopreneur because everything started because I wanted to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I have always had this eagerness of learning new things
Mm-hmm.
and teaching. So if you like learning, I think being a solopreneur is a great way of learning even more because you're going to make mistakes and it's a cycle. You make
Yes.
mistakes, you learn, then you
Yeah.
avoid those mistakes again. My advice would just be get started. Like stop only consuming how-to content. Stop reading so much about it because even reading, which is perceived as something good, anything that is good can become bad if it's done
Mm,
in excess.
mm.
So main advice is get moving.
Get
Start,
moving.
you know?
Yes. Yes. Marcus. Well, we're going to start wrapping up. Is there any comments or questions that you have for me?
I actually just would like to thank you for the opportunity of doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, That's all. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Marcus. Thanks for saying that. I've got one more question for you, but before I do that, stick around after this. We'll have a little chat after the podcast. We want to talk about a few things. So my last question for you is AI, is it hype or help?
Well, I would say it depends on on how you use it, on what, like it depends on what we are talking about, to be sincere. And I, to be honest, and I'm actually a good example of that because I still hold a part-time job to a multinational company where I work in the logistics department. And the logistics department is a place where we have a massive warehouse and we store many products on that warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
But even working for this multinational company that has, like, let's say, all the money in the world to automate things, we still don't have capacity nowadays. Like, we don't have technology nowadays, for example, to create AI humanoid robots that is capable of walking around, going to a certain section of the warehouse, picking up exactly the product that we need, coming back and bringing it to us.
Really?
That's, yeah,
I'm,
that is
I'm
no,
amazed.
when you think about it, even for example, Tesla that creates the most advanced humanoid robots,
Mm.
we still cannot do something as simple as walking in a warehouse to a certain section,
Mm-hmm.
picking up exactly the product that we need and coming back with that without problems.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you were to tell me nowadays, AI in the next 2, 3 years will be walking in all warehouses in the world, picking up the orders, scanning products, doing that as well as humans do. That's
Mm-hmm.
hype. That's
Right.
hype.
Yes.
That's that's not help.
Yes.
On the other hand, we see more and more people nowadays using AI to build business, like massive business alone. We see people using AI in very creative ways that before wasn't possible. In that case, it's help.
Yes.
So I would say that it depends on what we are talking about exactly. What is the scenario? What will AI be used for? Some cases it will be help. In some cases, it will be hype.
Right, Marcus, that's a great summary. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I want to watch your journey evolve, Marcus. As a fellow Australian, I'm very eager to see how you develop in the Sydney area. Let's schedule another podcast coming up soon. You can tell us more about your journey as a solopreneur. Of course, great topic. You're really doing really well. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, thanks. Bye bye. Well, that was great talking to Marcus. He had a lot of useful tips about starting his own business as a solo entrepreneur. What we learned was that businesses have very common sets of problems. One of them we talked about was missing appointments, and he had an AI solution for that using a voice tool. So, very common tools that are out there now, which actually can even book appointments and interact with clients if they call on the phone. That was how he actually got his first client. But also just solving those repetitious tasks. He asks clients specifically, are there any repetitive tasks that we could automate for you? And that's another way he gets in. So he's been successful with his business over the last 12 months or so. He calls himself a solopreneur. He's growing and he's doing really well. If you want to know more about Marcos Lima and his business, follow the links in the description. He has a YouTube channel and he also has a newsletter. Please sign up to those. If you want to know more about Skillion and Skillion AI Labs, please follow the links in the description as well. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.